Council meetings are long and boring. Wouldn't it be great if they were short and unboring? This is why I have invented the 5 Make it 10 minute meeting. All right. Ashland City Council meeting of October 21st. Starts with the mayor's announcement that says this is the first City Council / Parks Commission joint meeting. And that is true. And then City Manager Sabrina Cotta said, let's start with a financial update from the interim finance director, because the regular finance director said, F this BS, and abruptly quit last month. And so, interim finance director says, like I said last meeting, the hotel tax revenue is up 10%, and restaurant taxes are down 6%, and building fees are down 26%. And the overall budget is 3% down because of uncollected utility fees. Also, the past 3 years, Ashland has been balancing every budget with the leftover money from the previous year. And surprise, that is not sustainable. Well, it's good heads up information. And then the public forum, the pigtail homeless advocate lady says cops shouldn't be allowed to ban the homeless from public parks because that's the only place there are public restrooms. And then a lady in a headband said, City Manager Sabrina Cotta, she told me an arborist said that the new rocks around the trees on Ashland Street were fine. And so I asked Parks Director guy, and he checked with his arborist, and then he checked back with me and said, he actually said they're going to put a 2-foot ring of mulch around each tree. I mean, it's as though the city manager just said stuff to make people stop asking questions and go away. Interesting. And then Rocky Hudson, the Parks Director himself, right there. He says, there's the Parks Strategic Plan. It's going to cover 10 years. And this has been a process since September. And Parks has 36 employees and bought a bunch of land over the past few years. So we obviously need more staff. Or we bought too much land, maybe there's that. And then the results of the surveys, and he had lots of stats, and he had lots of charts, and he says we're gonna have a final plan in the spring of 2026. And then this one goes, hey, Parks guy, hey, you said we were gonna have a plan in 6 months, and now it's a year and a half. What? And then Parks guy says, Rocky says, well, I am having shoulder surgery soon, so there is that. And things just take longer because we want to do such a great job. Oh, how's that sweet? He says, we're having a budget retreat in December. Can't we at least have some dollar estimates by then? And he goes, oh yeah, sure, we can do that. And then this guy goes, he says, we approved a new $5 a month parks fee, and that sunsets in 2 years. Are you planning for that? And he goes, I thought you guys were going to do something about that. I mean, and even though we got that $5, we're still trying to be efficient. So yes, there were some reductions in service for efficiency. And then, and now the city presents their strategic plan. And Side-Eye Sabrina Cotta, our city manager, says, we just started our plan. So I don't have any surveys or no charts or graphs. And starting next year, we're going to be hiring a consultant. That's classic city manager. And then, there's a city finances adjustment discussion. Side-Eye Sabrina Cotta, she's here again. She goes, we're looking at using tech to save money. And then Parks Director Rocky Hudson says, he goes, we're doing more with less, and costs are up. But we're looking at cutting our 11 managers to 7 managers. Even though they're working managers, they're very hard workers. And so city manager's presentation, 3 minutes, no slides. Parks Director's presentation, 15 minutes, 6 slides. Classic again. And then a food and beverage tax discussion. The mayor starts off going like, this is no voting or anything. We're just talking, parks in the city, just talking about the future ballot initiative. And this guy chimed in, crazy. He says, he says, I love this restaurant tax, and I think it should go on forever. Just right off the top, right off the bat. And then Parks Commissioner, I thought this guy, it was this guy, what? There's a commissioner, not the director, Mike Gardner. He says, we almost got all the restaurant tax for parks in 2023. The vote was close, so we might be able to get all of the restaurant tax next time. Very schemy. And this guy goes blah 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 blah, and then this one also said blah 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 blah, and then everybody just said blah 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 blah, and there was a lot of nonsense about strategic planning for the ballot initiative, and then they're done with that, and then a break, and then a break. A break. They took a break. All the commissioners left, and when they came, and this one, she was on Zoom. She never came back after the break. She just disappeared. I don't know what happened. And then so we come back, and there's a consent agenda, all approved. And then there was the contract with Bonneville Power that goes from 2028 to 2044. And the electric guy, king of electricity, Bartlett, Tom McBartlett. And he says, we talked about this yesterday at the study session for a long time, so here's that contract. And this guy goes, oh, just by the way, we had a long debate yesterday, so anyone who cares can watch that meeting online. And, okay, I skimmed it. And I scrolled and skimmed, and the high points are, Ashland can now add its own solar power because before, Bonneville Power was kind of dicky about that. And now our power is 90 to 97% carbon free, so all renewable. And apparently the tier prices are lower. Okay. That was all approved. And then the Fern Street right-of-way through Roca Park above SOU, the second reading, and their public forum. And baseball cap guy is back, and he says, the culvert has flooded for 50 years. And glasses lady said, the Frisbee golfers are tromping around Roca Creek, and we need guaranteed access to Roca Creek. And Public Works Director Scott Fleury, he said, you know what, after this, we approved this, me and the Planning Commission, we're going to take care of the culvert and the creek access. Don't worry, it's going to be fine. All approved. And then I actually believe that. I believe that. And then, Chad, the city climate guy, showed up for the first annual SEEP update. I think it looks like a little bit like Tobey Maguire, my book. And he says, we have 56 focus categories and 13 groups and 9 focus areas. So it's hard to track lots of unrealistic goals. So we're trying to simplify everything. Oh, that makes so much sense. It was always crazy. And if you follow SEEP at all, it was a lot. It was a lot. And then he goes, are we looking at raising our franchise fee for a Vista Gas Company? I hate natural gas so much. Ah! And then so Chad goes, franchise fee, that's not my area right there at all. And side-eye Sabrina Cotta, the city manager, says, totally side-eyed hard on this one. She said, we can change some language in the next contract. And he goes, are we going to have a vote on that in the council? And she went, I don't know. Sure, I guess. And then he goes, that sounded kind of like no. And then they talked about incentives for electric. And then Chad, the climate guy, is back, and he goes, hey, Ashland will double whatever Bonneville Electric is paying in incentives for converting gas appliances to electric and upgrading your electric panel. And then there was a public forum, and the dangling earrings said, we support bold action. And Greg Cardigan said, I'm a co-founder of Ashland Climate, and we support this report. And Puffy Blue Vest said, Ashland Climate programs won't affect the big picture, but our new programs can be adopted by other communities around the country, so they're still valuable and can still have impact. That's the thing, I think. And then this guy goes, hey, how come there's not more money for poor people to buy my solar panels from my solar company? And here he is. Chad, the climate guy, goes, you know what? Without the federal money that's getting cut off at the end of the year, there's not enough bang for that buck. So Doesn't even make any sense. And this guy goes, I move to do all of this. I move it. And that was all approved. That's the end of the meeting. You're welcome.